Prime Field.
What happens when the most dominant team in women's college basketball walks into one of the sport's most historic arenas? We're about to find out. The number 1 ranked UConn Huskies, undefeated at 12-0, are rolling into Hinkle Fieldhouse to face the Butler Bulldogs. And folks, this matchup has statement game written all over it. UConn just demolished number 11 Iowa by 26 points. They're averaging a 37-point margin of victory. And now Butler has to somehow slow down this freight train on their home court. Can the Hinkle magic work? Or are we about to witness another UConn masterclass? Let's break down the 5 reasons why this game might be over before halftime. Here's where this game could get ugly fast. Turnovers. Butler is coughing up the basketball 17.9 times per game. Think about that for a second. Almost 18 possessions. Just given away. Against Xavier, a team they beat. Butler committed 20 turnovers. 20. Now who's waiting to pounce on those mistakes? Sarah Strong. The 6'2" sophomore forward who's putting up numbers that shouldn't be possible for a big. She's averaging 3.5 steals per game. That's elite guard numbers. Against Iowa, she had 5 steals in the first half alone. 5. Here's the scary part. When Butler's guards Mallory Miller and Lily Zeinstra each turned it over 4, 5 times against Xavier, they survived because Xavier couldn't punish them. But UConn? They're converting those turnovers into 30-plus points. UConn doesn't just steal the ball. Sarah Strong grabs it, pushes it herself, and finishes at the rim before you can even blink. Butler has a negative turnover margin. UConn thrives on forcing chaos. You see where this is going, right? Let's talk about the battle in the paint, because this is where the physicality meets the efficiency. Butler allowed 40 points in the paint to Xavier. 40! Against a mid-tier Big East team. Now imagine what Sarah Strong is going to do. Strong is shooting 58.7% from the field and averaging nearly 17 points and 9 rebounds per game. Against Iowa, she dropped 23 points, with 20 of them coming in the first half. She's not just scoring, she's dominating. Sealing deep in the post, facing up from the high block, and if you help off her, she's dishing out assists because she's averaging 4.6 per game. Butler likes to pack the paint with their sagging man-to-man defense. Here's the problem. When you collapse on Strong, you leave Azzi Fudd, one of the deadliest shooters in the country, wide open on the perimeter, and if you don't collapse, Strong is eating. Pick your poison. Caroline Dotsie had a great game for Butler with 25 points against Xavier, but she's going to need help. UConn can rotate through Strong, Sarah Williams, and Jana El Alfi all game long. Butler doesn't have that luxury. When Dotsie gets tired, who's stepping up? This is where it gets really fun, or really painful depending on which side you're on. Let's talk about pace. UConn plays at a red line tempo. They've got the freshman speed injection with Kaylee Hinkle and Allie Zebel coming off the bench, keeping the pressure relentless for 40 minutes. KK Arnold is pushing the break on every possession. Against Southern Connecticut State, UConn had 25 fast break points. Butler, they had 3 fast break points against Xavier. 3! They're a half-court, grinded-out team that needs to set up every possession. That's fine when the game is slow, but what happens when UConn is sprinting the other way every 12 seconds? Here's the kicker. Remember when DePaul pressed Butler earlier this season? Butler fell apart. DePaul went on an 11-0 run just by applying full-court pressure. The scouting report literally says the ball pressure bothered Butler. If DePaul's press bothered them, what's UConn's press going to do? UConn's athletes are longer, faster, and more disciplined. Sarah Strong, the center, is going coast to coast for layups. Butler's rotation is thin. Caroline Dotsie played 37 minutes against Xavier. Mary Canerva played all 40. You're asking these players to sprint back on defense against fresh legs for an entire game? That's a fourth quarter collapse waiting to happen. Okay, let's talk about the great equalizer, the three-point shot. Or in this case, the great destroyer. UConn is shooting 53.2% from 3 in Big East play. Read that again. 53%. They've hit 33 of 62 attempts through 3 conference games. That's not luck, that's elite shot making. Azzi Fudd is back and fully healthy, dropping 27 points against Iowa, including 5 made threes. But it's not just Fudd. Sarah Strong, the center, is hitting 38% from deep. KK Arnold, Blanca Quinones, the bench shooters, everyone is a threat. Butler allows opponents to shoot 31.8% from 3. That's respectable against normal teams. But UConn isn't normal. UConn makes 11 threes per game in a conference play. Butler allows about 5.4 made threes per game. Do the math with me here. If both teams hit their averages, UConn is outscoring Butler by 18 points from the three-point line alone. Add that to everything else we've talked about, and you start to see why this spread is sitting at 30 points. Butler wants to sag into the paint, but you can't sag off a team with 4 elite shooters on the floor. It's a tactical nightmare. The final piece of this puzzle, playmaking and ball movement. UConn had 19 assists on 25 made baskets against Iowa. That's 76% of their buckets coming off passes. This is basketball poetry. Cutting, spacing, finding the open player. Sarah Strong is leading the team with 4.6 assists per game from the forward spot. KK Arnold adds 4.6 Azzi Fudd chips in 3.0. The ball doesn't stick. Everyone eats. Butler, they have an assist-to-turnover ratio of 0.8. For every assist, they have 1.2 turnovers. Against Xavier, they only had 11 assists while scoring 64 points. Caroline Dotsey's 25 points came mostly from isolation and individual creation, which is impressive but not sustainable against a swarming UConn defense. Butler's guards, Zeinstra and Baxter, combined for 6 assists and 7 turnovers against Xavier. You can't win basketball games when your ball handlers are turning it over more than they're creating buckets for teammates. UConn creates easy shots through movement. Butler forces difficult shots through isolation. Over 40 minutes, who do you think wins that battle? So let's bring it all together. Butler's averaging 17.9 turnovers per game, walking into a buzzsaw defense led by Sarah Strong's 3.5 steals per game. They allowed 40 paint points to Xavier and now face the most efficient front court in the country. They scored 3 fast break points last game, while UConn is living in transition with 25+. They're shooting 33% from 3 while UConn is nuclear at 53%. And their offense is stagnant while UConn is moving the ball like the Globetrotters. Butler's only hope? Slow this game to an absolute crawl. Somehow protect the basketball better than they have all season. And pray UConn goes ice cold from 3 for the first time in weeks. The problem? UConn is shooting 56.8% from the field in conference play. Even their off nights are efficient enough to blow teams out. I'm projecting UConn 85, Butler 55. This one could be decided in the first quarter. If Butler commits 5 turnovers in the opening minutes, which their history says is likely, the Hinkle Fieldhouse crowd is going to get real quiet, real fast. Sarah Strong is going to dominate the paint, which opens up Azzi Fudd on the perimeter, which leads to open threes raining down. It's a defensive pick-your-poison situation, and Butler doesn't have the antidote. The biggest takeaway? This UConn team isn't just winning, they're making a statement. A 37-point average margin of victory isn't a stat line. It's a warning, but hey, it's Hinkle Fieldhouse. This building has seen magic before. Stranger things have happened in college basketball, right? So here's my question for you in the comments. Can Butler find a way to keep this within 20 points, or is UConn going to run them out of their own gym? And what would Butler need to do differently to even have a chance? Drop your takes below. And if you want more breakdowns like this, smash that subscribe button because we're covering all the biggest women's college basketball matchups this season. Let's hoop!
Prime Field